2025 AD. Games are who watched too much TV. He started streaming on YouTube, and that was a game changer. But little did he know that people would watch his shit right there. Robo Roll Call! Games are here. Now if you think too much of this, I simply must stress, la la la, this is a live stream and I am no longer depressed. La la la, this is just a simple. And I also must stress, I am just here to survive. Games R's channel is now live! We're live! You fucking dumbass. Why'd you do that? I am an Cornholio. I need pee-pee for my pee-pee. Okay, what was I gonna do today? You don't even know what you're gonna do today? All I know is that it's the weekend. And as the title suggests, the weekend is for the boys. So if you're a boy, get your ass in here. Anyway, we got a playlist. But first, as we start every stream,
this week's phone scam. Check it out.
Hello?
I have just one question for you. Are you ready?
Am I ready for what? Who's this?
Are you ready for this Sunday night when WWE Champ John Cena defends his title in the WWE Super Slam? Right now you can order this awesome pay-per-view event for just $59.99.
I'm sorry, no, there is not any chance in hell that we're ever going to have wrestling in this house again. But thank you, but no. Have a good day. Hello?
Goodbye to anyone standing in John Cena's way when he takes on 6 men in a steel cage shoots and ladders match at WWE Super Slam. Order now and save $10 with a low price of just $49.99.
Sir, you guys just called me, and as I mentioned before, we're not ordering this, so please stop calling my house. Thank you and goodbye. Hello?
Hi, can I speak to Champ?
Who?
Champ? Is Champ there?
Who is Champ?
That question will be answered this Sunday night!
Hey, sir!
Taking on
Please quit calling my house!
The Undertaker!
Quit calling me!
CM Punk and even Triple H and the Big Show in a spit-swapping makeout match! WWE Super Slam!
Hello? Hello? Can you stop screaming in your little sirens and whatever that is? Can you knock it off for 5 seconds? Not interested. Stop calling my fucking house. Hello?
I'm watching you.
Excuse me?
That's exactly what The Undertaker told John Cena! Will he be able to take the belt from the mightiest champion in WWE history at this weekend's WWE Super Slam?
Stop calling my house before I get your number. I will track you down and absolutely tear you to pieces. Do you understand me? I know you are, John Cena, crazy motherfucker. Calling my house now. No wrestling, no super motherfucking slam is happening in this house. I swear to Jesus, if this is those wrestling again.
Okay, good morning. Hi, I'm just calling this morning to ask if you're a supporter of the United States military.
Oh my God, I apologize. We've been getting calls all morning. I apologize, and yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, I am.
Great. Are you a supporter of the Marine Corps?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Great, because a former decorated member of the United States Marine Corps needs your support.
And his name is John Cena! We're gonna get in the ring and put boots to asses! This
Are you
weekend.
kidding me right now?
WWE.
Are you kidding me right now? I can't even handle this. I cannot handle this.
Available right now at a low price of only $39.99.
I can't believe you're still calling me. I'm about to lose my
Will you accept the charges?
Oh, your mother. Listen, stop calling. Is listening not your strong suit? Because really sure as is, but you're not hearing me. Shut your beaten down brain from SummerSlam and listen. I am not. I don't care if it's $59, $39, I don't want it. It won't happen. It's not coming on my TV again. It won't be allowed in this house. You understand me? Never again will there be wrestling here in this house. Keep going through closets and taking out T-shirts and burning them and calling the police and telling you that you're harassing me. Stop it now. I am calling the police. Good luck to you. Have a nice day. Yourself. God damn, what?
Hold on. Marie, this is the Z Morning Zoo radio
Hi.
show on Z104. How are you?
What?
We've been phone scamming you. Your husband Donnie told us to phone.
We are all in a fight right now. Are you kidding me right now?
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad for you.
I couldn't believe the mouth on you had on you. Oh my God. Well, listen,
I haven't had my coffee yet. Shut up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I know how
Well,
to feel.
listen, we won't be calling you back anymore. I promise. Okay.
Thank Jesus.
You won't have to hear. You won't have to hear this. All right. You won't have to hear that
I
anymore.
swear to God,
I swear to God, I was gonna call the cops.
You won't have to hear that
I
anymore.
swear to God, I was gonna go to jail, and I was.
Anyway, as we start our stream,
Imagine if your dollars earned 4.1%. USDG is a...
What makes the case of Jennifer Pan unique among others in the true crime genre is the overabundance of raw footage freely available in the public domain. There is over 11 hours of material that not only recounts her entire life in meticulous detail, but gives us considerable insight into her psychopathological state. Jennifer herself will narrate her own story in this video, which is the reason the following lead-up segment will be condensed, as a brief outline is all that is needed before delving into the extraordinary mind of this individual. Jennifer was born in Markham, Ontario, where she was raised with her older brother in a middle-class household. Her parents, Beek and Han, were originally from Vietnam, and their method of parenting was strict. Very strict, what some might even class as authoritarian. Success and achievement from their children were seen as outright obligations, whether it be in academics or extracurricular activity, and some might argue these expectations took precedence over the well-being of the children themselves. Jennifer initially took the imposed pressure in her stride and put everything she had into figure skating. She had exceptional talent, and at one point was expected to compete in the Winter Olympics, but she suffered a serious knee injury at the age of 14 and was told she could no longer compete. Her dreams were cut short, but of more concern was that her parents' expectations now had to be met through the more traditional route of education. And the issue was that Jennifer wasn't anywhere near as academically gifted as she was athletic. She was averaging a C- when her parents wanted straight A's. So rather than communicate with them, she decided to meet their expectations under false pretenses and began faking her test results. This led to her faking her end-of-year report cards, which eventually led to her faking a high school diploma, and then a university acceptance letter to study pharmacology. In the abstract world of her parents, Jennifer was on her way to a noble and well-paid career in medical health care, when in reality, she was a high school dropout living with her drug dealer boyfriend, whom she had been dating in secret for almost 8 years. She was eventually found out in 2010 when her parents discovered she had been living a double life, and was then given an ultimatum. At 24 years old, she had to choose between one of two options. Option one was that she had to live at home under a strict regime, cease all contact with her boyfriend, and only leave the house to go back to school and pursue an education. Option two was that she could do whatever she wanted, but she would then be disowned from her family. She could never return home, and all financial support would cease immediately. Jennifer evidently decided neither option would suffice, so she created option number 3. She had her boyfriend arrange a mock home invasion where 3 of his acquaintances would enter the Pan household and stage a robbery gone wrong. The 2 instructions were to first ransack the home and then murder the parents. The planned date was Monday the 8th of November, with the scheduled time being roughly 11 p.m. Jennifer would unlock the front door, and 3 figures were caught on a neighbor's surveillance camera entering the home at 11:05. They were then seen running out just under 18 minutes later. It was at that exact time 911 received a call from the same household.
Where are you, ma'am? Please, just don't help me. I don't have my pencil. It was a legal road in trouble. He showed all his money. Ma'am, you only have this. Please, let me help. Where are you? What? Avenue. Avenue Road. Yes. Do you spell the description name for me, please? Dad? Hello? Hello? Yes? Ma'am, I need to know your address. Avenue Road, can you please spell? In Helen Avenue, my dad just went outside screaming. Ma'am, can you spell the street address for me, please? H-E-L-E-N. The road that I heard shot went pop. I don't know what's happening. I'm right upstairs.
Vic Pan was shot twice, once in the neck and once in the head. She was killed immediately. The father, Han, was also shot twice, once in the shoulder and once in the face. He astonishingly survived and was put into an induced coma once he arrived at the hospital. Jennifer was taken to the same hospital as a precaution, but was soon cleared of injury. She sat by her father's bedside for roughly 3 hours before she was taken to the Markham police station to give a statement as a witness.
I want to go through a form with you. It may seem kind of...
The true crime world.
It's like you're swearing to tell the truth about what you're going to talk to me about. And it's also going to explain to you the penalties for not telling the truth. I don't expect you not to help me, but for a homicide investigation, anyone who's very close to the investigation, we do this with. Okay, so this isn't suspecting that you're not going to tell the truth. This is more of a feature that you understand the importance of telling the complete truth.
Jennifer is not a suspect at this moment. She is only giving a voluntary statement under oath. She has not read her right to silence, but instead informed of her rights as a witness. She is basically told that fabricating evidence with the intent to mislead is an offense. After reading the notification off paper, the detective gives Jennifer a more human explanation of the instruction.
What I've just explained to you is you're here voluntarily to help us, that you don't have to talk to us if you don't want to, but the importance of talking to us, and if you're talking to us,
I'm
the
pretty
importance
sure
of
that's
telling
Jim
the truth.
Smith. Jim
And if you
Smith's a
don't tell the
fucking legend.
truth,
He's
there's
one of the best
criminal
detectives in
consequences for not
Canada.
telling the truth. That's all that stuff had to deal with. Okay?
The investigator then leaves to get the Commissioner of Oaths, which is for the purpose of swearing in the witness, but he first brings in a box of Kleenex. This is universally recognized as getting startled, yet the official term in neurophysiology is the startle reflex via auditory stimulus. Hyperarousal from a traumatic event can often exaggerate this response in a manner similar to how Jennifer reacted to the sound of a door.
Hello, my name is Angela Spiro. I'm a Commissioner of Oaths with the U.S. Regional Police. I'm here so you can give a truthful statement, either by solemn affirmation or swearing on the Bible. Which do you prefer?
Swearing on the Bible.
Just put your hand on the Bible. Do you, Jennifer Pan, swear that the evidence you shall give on this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Once Jennifer is sworn in, the lead investigator returns to collect the statement.
Now I want you to sort of take yourself back to earlier on today, yesterday, meaning the 8th of November.
In Canada, you don't have the right to an attorney. That's why they did that. That's why America #1, baby.
And tell me about your day. Okay, start at any point in time, wherever you feel comfortable, and then we're gonna move forward. Okay?
Yesterday, probably around 9 o'clock in the morning.
Not every country has the right to an attorney.
My mother, she woke me up and she told me that she was going to visit my grandfather.
Throughout the day, Jennifer
Kind of an American
explained that she practiced
exclusive.
piano, studied piano history, talked on the phone with her friends, and had dinner with her parents. Her mother left for line dancing at 8 p.m. and returned home at about 9:30, at which time Jennifer was alone in her room watching TV, ready to go to sleep.
And then
I want my MTV.
suddenly I just heard my mom calling for my dad to come down. And that's when I lowered the volume on my TV. And I could hear the voices weren't any voices I was very familiar with. And so I was scared and I couldn't move. I just sat in my room for a while. And then I thought I heard them all leave the top floor, and I peered out of my bedroom door. And the guy was there and he came at me and had string in his hands and tied my arms back and said, I have a gun behind your back. Do what I say. If you do what I say, then no one will get hurt. Where is the money? Show me where your money is. My mom kept trying to get up and I kept telling her, sit down. And so I didn't want her to get hurt. I told her, Mom, sit down. They were trying to find her wallet, but her English speaker, she should get money first. They kept pushing her down to the chair.
Take your time. Take your time. All this is very important, so take your time.
Jennifer's nonverbal communication up to this point has made sense, and the reflection of her mother's last moments seems to push her over the edge. It could be assumed the detective's victim at this moment, but in the next moment, he will start becoming suspicious.
They kept all the lights off. Was when they opened the fridge door to see if they could find where my mom's purse was.
Take yourself back to a moment in your life when you have been overwhelmingly upset about something, and at the same time were trying to explain to someone why you were upset. You wouldn't quietly and reservedly convey the events. You would likely blurt them out in a forceful and disordered manner. Your sole focus would be on processing your thoughts and conveying them into speech. The emotional turbulence of severe hysteria and grief makes it very difficult to convey thought into actual dialogue, and the simple wording of a sentence becomes very challenging. Jennifer seems to find her words easily and executes her sentences perfectly.
One of the gentlemen asked my father if he had money in his wallet and where his wallet was. So they took me, because I was next to the stairwell, they took me up the stairs to show them where my father's wallet was, but I didn't know. They had turned the room upside down. I didn't know where his pants were at that time.
The intruders retrieve $1,100 from the master bedroom and then tie Jennifer to the upstairs
All
bed.
this for $1,100. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. You killed somebody for $1,000.
After the last thing I heard them say was, you lied to us. You lied to us. Then I heard two pops.
You killed somebody for $1,000.
I yelled out for her.
You hired a hit for $1,000.
And a couple more pops.
How do you feel? How do you feel? This is how she feels.
Take your time. Take your time.
I gotta see if it's Jim Smith. I gotta read the comments.
And I think I heard my mom say...
Because the comments will know if it's Jim Smith. They'll know.
Before they left, and then one of the guys said, "We have to go now. It's been too long." And then they ran up the door.
Jim Smith's the legend.
And I think once they were out the door...
No, that's not Jim Smith. Jim Smith doesn't have glasses.
I heard the stairs, and at that point...
Jennifer has clearly gotten her story straight beforehand, yet in the next moment appears to realize how unusual it is that she was able to make a phone call when her hands were tied behind her back to a banister. She hesitates, stutters, and even looks to the detective
I thought it was Jim Smith
twice
for a
before
minute.
she quickly moves on.
I had my phone in my...
There is interrogations on JCS with Detective Jim Smith. He's one of the best detectives in Canada.
On me, behind me, that I had hidden there that they didn't know about. So
he's like a nationally recognized
my dad ran up the
detective.
But I still hadn't heard anything from my mom, and all I could hear was my dad running on the street, just moaning out.
The detective then breaks the event down into components and has Jennifer go through each moment in more detail, the first of which is the appearance of the intruders. Jennifer now describes the one who appeared to be in charge.
The only thing I can remember was saying that he had dreadlocks.
The dreadlocks. So can you describe his race to me?
He was black.
Was his head covered? Was his face covered? Do you remember anything about that?
Just that his dreadlocks were like kind of like flopping all over the place. I couldn't really see his face, and they kept the lights dark as much as...
They love blaming black people.
Did you see the gun?
Oh, I saw the top part of the gun.
What did it look like?
Racist fucks.
Kind of... It was black.
Yeah. Do you know where the other guys involved in this are?
I know one stayed with my parents downstairs.
Okay.
The other one, I'm not... At that point, I was more focused on him. Like, he was seeing me and he was coming after me.
So you're saying there's 3 for sure? That's all? You saw a total of 3 at one time? You saw 3 people together?
Yes, when I went downstairs, I saw 3 shadows.
She details the appearances of the other 2 assailants, whom she asserts were also black males. The detective then brings her back to the one in charge.
Now, the first guy who spoke to you, what kind of... Did he have any accent? Was it clear? Was it clear English?
No.
Unbroken? No accent?
From the terms he used, I didn't get to pick up an accent, no. He used short phrases.
He sounded Canadian?
I would say, yes, he was born here.
He was born here.
She asserts that the second intruder didn't speak, while the third had a Caribbean accent. She then goes on to say she was taken downstairs for a brief moment and saw her parents under guard in the living room. Her father was asked where his wallet was, and he told them it was in the master bedroom. Jennifer was then taken back upstairs alone with 2 of the assailants to help them find it. They don't find the wallet, but instead retrieve a pile of cash from inside the nightstand. Jennifer was then
we found the Jim Smith one
and left alone as the intruders went back down.
And the next thing I can hear are them telling my parents to move to the basement.
Okay.
And I'm asking them, why, where are you going? And my mom's yelling to me, I want my daughter.
Master interrogator Jim Smith.
I want my daughter.
That's what he's known as.
Jennifer then hears one of the intruders yell, "You lied to us."
Who do you hear yelling, "You lied to us," or to that extent? Number 3.
I'm assuming it's to my father, because he was the one asking for the wallet.
Now you hear this commotion downstairs. You said you heard 2 pops. And you heard who scream? Your mom. And what was she screaming?
Alright, it's lunchtime.
I can't make it out. It was kind of like a cry yell, so it was just...
Okay.
They had made the first round, or pop, and they had said, okay, that's enough. Let's go.
Who said that? Whose voice is that?
Number 1.
Okay.
And then I heard one more after that. And they're like, that's enough. Let's go.
Okay. And again, that's number 1.
Yes.
So what do you hear next? After you hear the scrambling, they're gone. Because you're hearing no more. I gather that's how you assume they're gone, is because you don't hear it. Then you hear your dad.
I reach for my phone at that point.
And you call 911, okay? When your father exits, you hear the door open. Because you hear your dad, and then
I can hear, like, the outside noises.
Okay.
Like the wind coming in, and I just hear my dad, I think he's...
You think that he's sustained some kind of injury because he's not, you can't understand what he's saying. Okay. What about, can you hear your mom? Okay. Where does your dad go? Do you know where, you never see your dad again until when we're at the hospital. I think that's what you said, right?
I saw him when he was on the gurney.
Is there any reason to suspect or anything that's happened in the recent weeks leading up that would have you guys be a target of some type of incident like this?
We live a straightforward, kind of almost routine life.
Whenever Jennifer smiles, it takes her a couple seconds to realize she's not exhibiting the correct behavior, and she then snaps back into her solemn stare.
What, in your opinion, would cause people to target your house to think there was a large quantity of money?
I'm not sure.
Now, you say your mom drives a Lexus.
It could be because of the aesthetics, yes.
What about your dad?
He drives a Mercedes and he loves that baby.
Is that right?
The questions end here, and the detective leaves the room for half an hour to double-check if he needs any more information. After 15 minutes of Jennifer waiting alone, we're gifted with another performance of the startle reflex, only this time it's slightly less convincing. If investigators were certain of Jennifer's innocence, this would have been the first and last time she would have been questioned in such a manner. Police are extremely careful in how they involve victims in investigations as to not cause further unnecessary trauma. But on this particular occasion, it would come as no surprise that Jennifer's psychological well-being was of less concern. She was officially still a victim and witness, but unofficially a leading suspect. She was called back in to give another statement just 2 days later at 9 a.m. She was told the reason was to collect more details, but you'll notice that the line of questioning and the answers they attain have little to no use for anything outside of Jennifer's culpability. The actual reason for this second statement is to collect further information to use against her at a later stage. In this interview alone, they already start the process of cross-examination and start to catch her out in previous lives. Jennifer is still a witness at this moment, and the exchange is void of any direct confrontation, yet she is still put under a modest amount of pressure, and the holes in her story start to become ever more apparent.
Take that first interview that we had, which was, hours after what had transpired. Put it aside. It's almost like we've never spoken before, okay? So we're starting fresh. We're starting from new. That way you're not going to say, I think I already told him that. Don't worry about what you've already told him.
Do you, Jennifer Penn, swear or declare that the evidence that you give in this investigation shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
We're going to see if we've learned or if you've remembered anything else. And there's some questions with respect to that statement that I'm going to ask you about. Okay, but I'm going to let you start again, and let's move forward from any time in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and
Why are you nervous? Tell me about why you're nervous.
Because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Because
that day was a lot.
You're right.
And I've been scattered, and so bits and pieces are here, and some pieces aren't here, and I'm just...
So, I want you to sit back in your chair, okay? Just sit back in your chair. Take a deep breath, okay? Close your eyes. Just follow my line. Just sit back in the chair for a second. Sit back. Relax the best you can. Close your eyes. And just breathe for a minute, okay?
The most curious detail you've probably come to notice is this. It's known as a self-pacifying gesture. A person who does this is most often uncomfortable and sometimes fearful of what lies ahead. It's a coping mechanism to dissipate stress and afford self-assurance.
What I can remember is when I woke up, had some breakfast.
She practices on the piano, studies piano history, plays games on her phone, and speaks with her friends on Facebook during the morning hours. Her mom leaves to visit her grandfather at around noon and returns at 3 p.m. to prepare dinner. Her father comes home at around 4:30 from work, and dinner is returns at 9:30. Jennifer at this point is in bed talking with her friend on the phone, and her father is in the computer room. She then hears her mother loudly call out to her father.
What is she saying?
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
I love how your eyes close.
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim, what do you hear her saying?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Hanoi, xuống đây.
She's clearly aware that she has to appear mournful over the subject matter and sensibly draws out this emotion at the correct moments. Yet what's fascinating is how she's unable to maintain this emotion when inquired over the same elements. In this very moment, she appears completely grief-stricken, but when the investigator inquires further, this supposed grief rapidly dissipates. It's extremely difficult to convincingly act out an emotion while evaluating a question. It requires two completely different parts of the brain, which is why most people can only do one of these things at a time. This is exactly what you see in the next moment, and continuously throughout this interview.
What does that translate to?
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Does she say anything else associated with that?
I can't hear clearly because, like, I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling? Or is it normal?
It's a loud, she's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
She then hangs up the phone with her friend once she hears the commotion.
As I'm hanging up the phone with him, I hear footsteps going up the stairs.
Okay.
But they're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected from my parents.
Okay.
Jennifer hears unfamiliar voices, so she opens her door to investigate. She has spoken for 2 minutes up to this point without being interrupted, and once again manages to build up her emotion to correlate with the supposedly terrifying event. Yet as soon as the detective interjects with a question, we once again see this emotion dissipate.
I peered out, and there was a person in what would have been my brother's room.
And where's your brother's room located?
Just a little bit down like I could see from my doorway to his doorway, just
Okay.
a little bit down the hall.
Okay.
The first intruder then robs Jennifer at gunpoint before taking her to the ground floor, where she then sees her parents sitting next to each other.
From where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right, and my mother was sitting on the left.
Sitting where?
On a couch, on our couch.
Sitting on the couch. Are they looking out towards you?
No, their backs are towards me.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor? Or on the
I'm
sitting on the
on the
stairs?
floor. I'm sitting on the floor.
All right, where are your hands?
They had tied my hands,
So
as I said.
let's go back up to the stairs. Remember we said
Her emotional display in seeing her parents in distress gradually faded after each interjection, but you'll now see it completely cease altogether once she realizes that she made her first mistake. Everything she had said up to this point correlated with her initial statement, but she had just forgot to mention that she was first tied up before being taken downstairs, and only brought it up when reminded by the detective.
take the other statement and whatever we said before.
No, I said it earlier.
She didn't say she was tied up earlier. She completely forgot to mention it and seems to be trying to convince the detective otherwise. It's a moment of slight panic, which becomes far more pronounced when you compare it to her supposed grief-stricken recollection 5 seconds earlier. The detective doesn't challenge this, as it can be used against her at a much later stage, and the main objective at this point is to collect as much conflicting information as possible.
Okay, then let's get back to that area. I think you might have touched on it. We went back into the description. So where do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
I'm not sure where the string comes from, but he had the string.
Okay.
And after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
She is then taken downstairs where she sees her mother being interrogated by the second assailant over the whereabouts of the cash. According to her first statement, the second assailant never said a word the entire time.
He had pushed her back onto the couch. And she
Who pushed her?
Number 2.
Okay.
He was pushing her back onto the couch. And she kept saying, "Where's my purse? Where's my purse?" And the guy kept telling her to sit down, and I didn't want my mom to get hurt.
How many times does she get up and get pushed back down?
I'd say she got up twice.
Has number 2 uttered a word at this point in time?
I can't remember hearing him.
Okay. So we're just correcting what you said earlier, because you said earlier that it was number 2 who was asking where the purse is, and now you've said now it's number 1 guy who would initially... No. It's all a purpose. The purpose here is clarifying what you're saying. So number 1 is... Number 1 is the one who's doing the talking about the purse. Number 3 is focused on your dad's wallet. Okay.
Jennifer continues to make contradictions and is forced to correct herself multiple times after she notices the puzzled gaze from the detective. He inquires over the appearance of assailant number 2, who is wearing a hoodie according to the first statement.
Do you get a good look at number 2 now of what he's wearing?
All I could tell was he had a vest, and his face was like a long oval face.
He had a vest?
No, hoodie.
Okay.
Dark hoodie.
Okay. Did you see them recover anything inside your mom and dad's room?
I did not see anything, no.
Are you sure? Because when we spoke the last time, there was some mention of some other money that went missing.
And it was in an envelope.
What drawer would that have been in?
If you're at the doorway where I was standing, on the left side, the bedside table.
Whose side of the bed is it?
That's my mother's side of the bed.
Okay.
More than likely a total coincidence, yet she almost appears to be praying that she gave the correct response. Fortunately for her, she was correct on this occasion.
And approximately how much money?
I'm not sure how much she took out for our trip, but I can only estimate about a few $100s.
Few hundred, because at the time, the last time you told me, you were pretty adamant about $1,100. So I'm curious to know how you came up with that number.
I believe because when we were at the border, we stopped at the duty-free, my mother was deciding whether to use her U.S. currency or her U.S. currency or her Canadian currency.
So it was at that time you remember hearing $1,100? And is that the inference you're saying? Is that, because you're pretty solid saying that it was $1,100 that went missing, that was taken. And that you saw it when we spoke. And who took it? Who took possession of the money?
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
The detective lets the contradiction slide once more. Jennifer is then brought to the moment where the intruders had just left, and she is tied to the upstairs banister.
Let's come back to now. You're being taken to the banister in the upper. Don't apologize, okay? I'm going to try and ask you questions to try and clarify points. Okay? If you don't remember, you don't remember. Okay, so there's no apologizing. The only reason you would apologize to me is if you lied to me.
No.
Okay, so then in this case, then don't apologize to me. It's okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions to clarify points. You're now bound to the railing. Can you show me, can you stand up and turn around and tell me, just show on the camera, how your hands are bound? And how you are against the railing. You don't have to sit down. I just need to see how you were.
Just tell you.
The only reason that I need to do this is that I'm also going to ask you is that so take this back take it out of a traumatizing event, which it is, and put yourself into a more clinical position, because I want to see how you could physically get your phone out of your waistband. We're obviously going to need to know that. It's very important. So traumatize the wife away. Now put yourself into just a state of, I need to mechanically show how I can get access to my phone. Okay, because that's obviously very relevant. We know you made the phone call, but questions are going to obviously raise is that if my hands are bound and I'm against the railing, how do I talk to a 911 operator? Okay, so clinically, this is now a clinical demonstration. Just stand up, focus in on how you did it. And I want you to stick that in your waistband as an example. Okay, so just take your sweat off, because this will be a very smooth, very quick thing. It's a one-time demonstration. I'm not going to ask you to repeat it.
The two critical parts of this demonstration are where Jennifer states she was tied and the movement of her arms as she takes her phone out of her pocket. The investigator is hoping the mechanics of the two components would be illogical and contradict each other.
He tied my upper arm.
Yes?
Around the banister.
Yes?
But my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone? And how do you make the phone call?
Whether it be a stroke of luck or that Jennifer had prepared for this moment, this actually made sense. Had her arms gone left or the point of restraint been below the elbow, none of this would have been possible. It's perhaps the single moment where Jennifer's statement was somewhat beneficial to her defense. We know Jennifer was tied up when police arrived, but the assumption was that she had her phone in her hands the entire time and wouldn't have had to retrieve it from her waistband. She can now argue that this portion of her testimony is genuine.
911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good enough. Sit down.
Jennifer is then brought back to the moment just before she heard the gunshots.
At this point, I started hearing my parents get up. And they're moving. And my mom's yelling, "Where's my daughter? I want my daughter. Where's my daughter?" And I'm yelling, "Mom, I'm here."
Here. Jennifer, take a Kleenex and just take a minute.
You'll notice that she doesn't wipe her eyes or blow her nose, just buries her face in the tissue, which the detective later testified remained completely dry.
Okay. So we're now down in the basement. They're down in your parents are down in the basement.
I heard pop. And then my mom. I heard her squeal.
Multiple pops occur thereafter before she hears the intruders leave through the front door.
Once the door closed, I heard my father. He ran up the stairs and all I could hear was moaning. Yes. Once I heard him starting to move, that's when I pulled out the phone and I was trying to call 911.
This is untrue. She only realized her father was alive midway through the 911 call. And in that exact moment, you can actually hear genuine fear in her voice compared to her fabricated panic the moment before.
Some people broke into our house and paid us all his money. I can't hear my parents yelling at this. Where are you? What? Avenue. Avenue Road. Yeah. Can you spell the name for me, please? Dad?
The final part of this statement is collecting information to set up the main strategy for Jennifer's interrogation that will take place 10 days later. They go through Jennifer's past and gather intel to lay the foundation for what's known as the how and why solution, which will be explained in further detail at a later stage.
What I want to do now is I want to go into your past, okay? And start talking about things that have been going on with you.
The detective now morphs into a therapist, and what's fascinating is how Jennifer doesn't once question the new line of inquisition. Many argue that it was the first time Jennifer was even asked about such matters, giving reason for her willingness to open up. This may have been the first time in her life she was able to process her frustrations and vent to someone who appeared to care. The first topic is her parents, and the expectations and pressures she was under to succeed, which led to her faking her grades and then her college degree as to not be a disappointment.
How did you feel about that? How did you feel about having to lie to your parents?
I felt guilty, but every time I tried to bring it up, there was just so much expectation.
Did you have any resentment towards them for this?
I chose what I chose, but in the end I chose my family.
She just referred to the ultimatum she was given by her father. The choice to live at home and go back to school, or be completely cut off by her parents and live with her boyfriend. Information gathering on Jennifer's past goes on for roughly 2 hours and 20 minutes. The detective then ends the exchange by putting her under some pressure. It's not. The detective subtly switches back to the home invasion and how the intruders were able to gain access without breaking in.
Like you didn't hear a doorbell, you didn't hear a door knock, you didn't hear a door kicked in. You didn't.
I said I was watching TV on the phone. I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. We went over that back and forth. We don't know how. So somehow they got into your house by getting through your mom down on the lower level, right? Because she's the only one who's down there.
She's the only one down there.
So it's very confusing. Generally, random events are not, in most cases, random. There's a rhyme or reason why they've come to your house. But from what you've told me inside the house, the only thing that you hear them saying to you is they're looking for money. They're not looking for a specific quantity of money?
No.
So you're telling me that you had no involvement in what happened, meaning not saying how the outcome came, but you had no involvement in any type of illegal activity that would have drawn you or the attention of you to have bad people come to your house looking for large sums of money. You're not involved in this any which way. Because the question obviously stands, Jennifer, is you're upstairs and they're downstairs. Right? So it's a natural concern why would they leave you alone? Why would they not do the same to you? You can't answer that question?
The only thing I can say is he said I cooperated. But I asked him to take me.
The number one guy said you cooperated. Okay, who's to say this whole thing isn't a lie? That what you're telling me is a lie? Because if you are lying, it's the most cold-blooded thing that I have ever faced in my life. There is nothing that you've said to me today is a lie. Now, back to another very difficult question. But if I don't ask it, it's an obvious one. The resentment that you may have had towards your parents for the interference in your relationship and your life and essentially locking you down in your house.
At the end of the day, I love my parents and I chose to be with them. And if I wanted to, I could have just left, but I didn't. I wanted to stay with them and take care of them.
So this wasn't some evil plot that you thought up to...
Oh my God, no.
No interaction, no belief, you didn't have anything to do with this thing at all, whatsoever. No. You don't engage in illegal activity?
No.
Because you know that it'll be very easily, it will be a very easy thing to discredit you on, right? We're in the process of trying to add credibility to what you tell us, and that's through the process of asking people and doing whatever. Through that same process, it will be very easy to find the flaws in what you've said, which again then turns the focus back to you. Okay? It's a natural progress. It's a natural thing that investigators do. We eliminate people, or we draw our attention to them. It's a natural thing. It's not brain surgery. Okay?
The detective leaves the room for 20 minutes to allow Jennifer to stew in her own thoughts before they end the statement. He comes back to add one last bit of psychological pressure that he carefully disguises as reassurance. Jennifer will leave terrified, but still believe the police are on her side.
Okay, we're We're done, essentially. How are you feeling?
Sorry, you really scared me.
What did I scare you about? Sit down and take a load off. Tell me how you're feeling and how I scared you. I don't want you walking away from here thinking I'm evil. I want you to walking around from here thinking that this guy is helping investigate my mom's murder, and he's going to turn over every stone possible to make sure that we catch the people who do that. That's what I want you feeling. So I don't want you walking away from here thinking that I scared you or I'm a bad man. Sometimes we have to ask very, very difficult questions, but it's my job. Okay? You're our only link. You're it. Until your dad regains his back and being able to be spoken to. Right now, you're his back and being able to be spoken to. Right now, you're our only link to this case.
Her father had bullet fragments lodged in his face that doctors couldn't remove, and a shattered neck bone. At the time of this interview, the consensus was that if he did regain consciousness, he would be useless as a witness due to irreversible brain damage.
So we may rely on you heavily until we can speak to your father. Okay? So don't be afraid. If you've told the truth, the last thing you should be afraid of is anything. If you've told the truth and you've been truthful through this whole process, then you're helping. You're doing your part. Okay? And don't be afraid of me.
I'm just afraid because, I know everything is just all pointing negatively right now, and I don't understand why. I feel that, the way you're speaking to me, it's kind of like, I know you said that you had to say those things, but it's here, and I've already said it to the special victims yesterday, but there's ideas in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid to say it out loud. But
ideas about speculation of what happened, how it happened. Unfortunately, at times some of us have to point the finger, seem like we're pointing the finger, and it really is just to provoke you to see what you're going to do, how you're going to respond. Okay? So it's only a question, and it's been answered, and if you've been truthful, okay, you have nothing to fear. Absolutely nothing. Okay?
Police kept Jennifer under close observation from this point forward. A surveillance detail was assigned to track her every movement, and she was even monitored at her mother's funeral 3 days later. According to reports, she was emotionless the majority of the time, only showing what appeared to be feigned grief at certain moments. She never shed a single tear, and kept her eyes to the floor or completely shut for the entirety of the service. Jennifer's father had in fact awoken from his induced coma the day prior, and miraculously seemed to remember everything from the night of the incident. He would give an official statement in secret on November 16th, and multiple parts of his story contradicted what Jennifer had told police. The most significant detail was that she was never tied up, but instead walking around freely and talking with the intruders as if they were friends. He actually spoke with Jennifer over the phone, but was informed by investigators to act amnesic and not to confront her, only to ask her if she thought her ex-boyfriend was behind it. She stated that she was almost certain he wasn't. The only issue with Hahn's statement was that he had suffered minor brain damage from the gunshot, which could be used by a defense team to refute his testimony in court, or even get it thrown out altogether. Furthermore, it was essentially his word against Jennifer's, and their turbulent relationship would also work greatly in the defense's favor. York Regional Police knew they needed a confession for the best possible chance at securing a conviction, so they assigned their most experienced investigator to conduct Jennifer's interrogation. She was called back into the Markham Police Station on the 22nd of November at 2:30 p.m., a week and a half after the incident took place.
So just for the record, it is the 22nd of November 2010. We're at the 5 District Station in the town of Markham. My computer right now says 2:39 in the afternoon. Okay. Just for the record, my name is Detective William Gates. You can just call me Bill here today. And what do you like to be called?
Jen.
Yeah. What do you prefer, Jen or Jennifer? Either. Okay. So Jen, you're aware that the audio tape and everything's on. It's the same as last time. Okay. You've been here on 2 other occasions, I understand. on the 9th of November, and I believe again on the 11th of November. Is that correct? Okay. And do you know why we're here today? Yeah, regarding what? And as a result of that home invasion, your father, Pan, was actually shot, and your mother, Pan, was actually killed. Is that correct? Yeah, you'll have to speak up a little bit so I can hear you.
What's unique about this interrogator is how he immediately adopts a no-nonsense approach, yet manages to build rapport and remain sympathetic at the same time. You'll see that he has far less patience compared to the previous investigator, yet seems to create a stronger connection with the suspect. It's a hard thing to explain, but easily observed, as you'll soon find out.
So that's what we're going to discuss here today.
Jennifer this time around has read her rights to silence rather than her rights as a witness. If she knew anything about the law in Canada, she would be wise to the fact that she is now a suspect. Fortunately for the investigator, she remains completely naive to the situation throughout the opening phase of the interrogation, making her far more susceptible to the strategy he is about to employ.
Okay, just hold on a second. Okay, we're having technical difficulties here. Okay, so that's why they interrupted me. What we're going to do is, if you don't mind holding tight there, I'm just going to move my equipment to the other room. Okay, and then I'll come over and we'll move over there. Next door, okay? Okay, I'm going to be right here, though. Okay?
With respect to interrogations, it's common knowledge that the psychological manipulation begins before a single word is spoken. The physical layout of the room is designed to accelerate the sense of discomfort and isolation, and it's fascinating to observe how each interrogator has their own unique methods of setting the tone. Knowing how this interrogation plays out allows us to realize this detective's procedure. The considerable distance between him and the suspect will keep her relaxed enough to be influenced by phase 1, but this same distance will intensify the pressure once he eventually closes it during phase 2. You'll notice this detective is slow with his first strategy, but swift with the second. He takes his time in building trust and establishing rapport, yet once this initial connection is secured, the transition to aggression will be abrupt and ever-increasing from that point forward. Jennifer takes a seat in the room 15 minutes since she was first informed of her rights. It's important to note that she is still free to leave at any time at this point. She is unknowingly a suspect, but not under arrest.
So just for the record, this room is being videotaped and audio taped, just like the other one, okay? And I'm just going to grab my chair from across the way, okay? Okay.
The detective goes through Jennifer's history of teaching piano and her earlier years of high-level figure skating, which was cut short due to injury.
If you didn't get injured, would you still be doing it? Yeah. That's nice. And did you, as far as that, did you do like competition skating, or? And how did you do with that?
It was at the top of the pack. It was in the middle.
Yeah, so that's good. But you did actually enjoy it. It was more than just going for competition. You enjoyed actually.
I just had fun with
Okay. All right. Do you have any students right now? Okay. And why not?
The students I were teaching went to high school and lost interest.
Okay. Yeah, too big for piano. Yeah, I took it in grade school too, but I think I went to grade 7 in it. Like when I was in grade 7, I stopped taking it. But, I still remember Swans on the Lake. How to play that, that's about it.
The detective then goes through Jennifer's work history as a server before touching on her future plans in education. Jennifer mentions that she plans to go by her parents' wishes and pursue a career in healthcare, at which point the primary strategy is initiated, the how and why solution. The detective gradually begins to shift the blame away from the suspect and onto another set of circumstances that prompted the suspect to commit the crime. He starts developing a theme that will afford her a psychological justification in doing it, and this theme will be further established as the interrogation progresses. It starts off subtle so that she remains oblivious to the agenda.
Now, if you could pick any job yourself, I'm not talking about anybody else, but if you could pick for yourself, what would it be?
You need three, 'cause she lays the clothes in order.
At FNB, you can apply for 40...
I'm like the exam teacher when I come home. But in the daytime, I'd like to have a simple, maybe like a lab technician job, just work.
You're just mad, get your asses on.
8 hours.
Grandpa.
And come home each time.
This is an answer the detective was hoping for. Jennifer's preferred career choice is at odds with what her parents wanted, so he now builds on the concept of the overly controlling parent and the unfair limitations it causes the child. He then links this concept with the subject of Jennifer's boyfriend and how she was kept from seeing him.
Now, eventually you were discussing Daniel. What happened with that relationship?
I hid it from my parents, but they didn't see it from having a boyfriend.
Okay.
And once they found out, they didn't like the fact that he was of mixed race.
Okay.
And they told me to stop speaking.
Okay. And how did that make you feel?
Yes. He was the person who just fills an empty void for me. So I felt that a part of me was missing.
When you broke up, you felt the part was missing? Is that what you're saying?
When they first told me to stop speaking and stop talking to me, I felt like a part of me was missing. So I just a little bit of depression.
Okay. How did they find out?
One day when my mother came to pick me up, she saw me missing. He had dropped me.
Okay. Dropped you off.
At Pacific Mall, and my mother was coming to pick me up.
Okay. And somehow they saw each other, I guess?
Oh, my mother saw me hugging me in the back.
Okay. That gave it away. What happened next?
I tried to bring him home. And my mother at first was like, bring him home, let us meet him. When I brought him home, they automatically didn't like him for some reason.
Okay.
And that's when they told me to stop seeing him.
Okay. So you were told to stop seeing him. So what happened then?
At first I stopped for a while. But like I said, I just felt really empty and I felt depression and I started talking to him again.
Jennifer then goes on to explain in further detail how she carried on the relationship in secret and how it became more and more of a struggle hiding it from her parents.
Now, how has Daniel taken it when your parents said that you couldn't see him anymore? How did he take it?
He was hurt.
Yeah. And how did you feel?
Also hurt.
Also hurt. Okay.
She then goes on to explain that she was living with Daniel at his parents' house for 2 years, while her own parents thought she was studying at a university.
And his parents were, I guess, more liberal than your parents.
His parents, they loved me.
Yeah, okay. And they recognized that you loved each other.
Jennifer recounts how she bought a fake diploma for $500 to show her parents, and the many other avenues she went down to keep the lie going. She eventually gets to the day she was found out.
How did you end up back home, I guess?
They called up my friend, who I said I was staying with, in the middle of the night, and she was groggy and forgot what day it was, and so she's like, isn't she home? And I wasn't home.
Okay. She messed up.
I don't blame her, but...
No. Okay.
Jennifer then goes on to explain the ultimatum she was given and the restrictive measures that were put in place so that she wouldn't be able to see her boyfriend.
So how has that felt, being under those guidelines for the last 18 months?
It was okay, it wasn't the best feeling in the world, because I just felt like trapped.
Okay.
But it's what I chose to do with my family.
Okay. And so you made a choice between what?
Living out on my own with Daniel and staying home with my parents.
Did you feel you really had a choice or not?
There was no choice because family was concerned.
Okay. And Where do you get that from? Where do you get that belief? Okay. So family's number one?
Yes.
The detective then brings up Jennifer's earlier assertion of being depressed and then affiliates it with the restrictive measures she was living under.
Did you ever feel that they expected too much of you? How so?
Comparisons to other people.
Okay, so who would they compare you to?
Like classmates, clubmates, cousins.
Okay. And so some of them have been successful recently? Okay, and what did they say to you?
Wish you could have been that person.
Okay, so that's pretty hard, right? Hard to take for you?
What I've heard all my life. Nothing.
Okay. Did you ever feel like, I know you're smart and they believe you're very smart, but did you ever feel you weren't as smart as what they thought that you were?
Yes.
Okay, I get that feeling. That it's pretty tough to live up to their expectations. Okay, like your dad ultimately would like to see you be like a doctor. Those were pretty high standards for anyone. Not everybody can be a doctor. Okay, but they may have acted like you could have done it no problem. Their expectations were so high that few people will be able to reach that expectation. I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about anybody. And it started at a young age.
The detective further explores the stresses of living with overly strict parents, and Jennifer explains in further details the way she would cope, which for the most part was lying about her grades and living a double life with her boyfriend.
How did it feel having to lie to them all those years?
It's really hard. Really hard. Like I wanted to tell them, but it just, they always looked down and disappointment.
Okay. I'm sure there were days when you actually planned that this is the day I'm going to tell them, and then you just couldn't spit it out.
The opening strategy of the how and why solution has now been executed. A connection has been attained, and the desired narrative established. The next phase of the interrogation is about to commence, which is first set up by a two-step strategy. Step 1 is to induce fatigue. Step 2 is to induce fear.
Now, when's the last time you spoke to your dad?
This morning, this day. He and my brother had meetings at school.
Okay. And what have you and your father discussed about this case?
He just asked me if Daniel was behind it.
Okay.
And I told him I don't know 100%, but I don't think he did.
Okay. Why would he ask that?
Because he believes that we still talk and that he would go to anyone to be with me.
Okay. Now, what do you think about that?
I know that he's moved on, so I don't think he would go to these lengths to be with me when he's already moved on.
The detective has Jennifer go through the entire incident once more, but unlike the first investigator, offers no reassurance nor consolation. Jennifer starts fake crying again, yet this time is given no tissues to wipe away her non-existent tears.
Now, do you think there's any reason why they tied you up and didn't tie your parents up?
I don't know.
Does that seem odd to you? Why does it seem odd?
Because I was away up here separated from him the whole time.
And does it make sense that they would leave a witness behind? If they were going to kill somebody? Does that make sense?
Yes, I think.
Just thinking about it. But it makes sense for somebody that was going to kill somebody to leave a witness behind that could describe them. Does that make common sense for killers?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Mm-hmm. Do you think that was a mistake they made then?
I don't know. They kept saying that they're running out of time. And it
doesn't take a long time to kill someone, though, does it?
I know. I don't know.
Jennifer's dramatics intensify as the discussion of the home invasion continues. She's trying to give off the nonverbal cue that she wants to move past the incident. The detective doesn't respond, but continues to go over the different stages of the night in more detail. He jumps from the beginning to the end, to the middle, back to the end, and then back to the beginning again. None of this is for the purpose of information gathering. He is inducing mental fatigue as to diminish Jennifer's critical thinking. This is often done before a direct confrontation, as it can diminish the suspect's ability to consider the long-term consequences of a decision. Jennifer will get stressed and tired, not because she is traumatized by the event being recited, but because it's exhausting keeping up such an act when it's not genuine, and this performance eventually starts to dwindle and becomes gradually less convincing.
How did the conversation end with that?
I heard my mother calling for my father.
Okay. Okay. When you went to bed, was your mom home yet?
She'd just gotten home and I went down. I told her I'd be right back. And I went down, I said hi to her, and I went back up to my room.
Okay. Were you injured at all during the whole process?
Not really.
Okay. Not really anything?
Step 2 of the confrontation setup will now commence. The detective employs what is known as the futility technique. He will tell Jennifer that he has an abundance of resources at his disposal, and even fabricate much of what he asserts. He's indirectly telling the suspect it is useless to resist due to the overwhelming evidence against her.
To resist this
the reason
is useless.
Why I'm here today, okay, is that I'm an expert, okay, in what we call truth verification. I talk to thousands of people, okay? And I basically know when somebody is not being straightforward with me, okay? I can tell by the language they use, how they answer the question, their body language, how they treat the question, that something's wrong here, okay? This doesn't make sense.
The detective then gives Jennifer an 8-minute narrative on police tactics and forensic technology, some of which is embellished, but for the most part true. He then asserts that police are able to use infrared satellite imagery to see the occupants inside a household. This is entirely false.
And basically, if people are moving around in a house, it's like an x-ray, okay? And basically we're able to tell, you know, are those movements, are those actions,
no, it's not
consistent with...
Police have that technology. What the fuck are you talking about, JCS?
In the positions that the witnesses are telling us
like,
they were
what the fuck are you talking about?
Are they different? Okay, and if they're different, why are they different is what our question becomes, right? And so at the end of the day, okay, there's so many resources available to me.
They use infrared scanners to look at
I'm going to know
all the fucking time. What are you talking about?
The detective is now about to initiate the confrontation, but first brings the entire setup full circle by reestablishing the notions of reasoning and rationale. The suspect is fatigued
Don't
and
ask
scared,
how I
but
know
still
this.
needs to feel the detective is on her side.
Now, I can tell you that nothing surprises me in this job, okay? I am well aware that anybody on this earth is capable of making a mistake, okay? I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a priest. I don't care if they're a school teacher. I don't care what the situation is. Given a certain set of circumstances, everyone has the capability, Jennifer, of making a mistake, doing the wrong thing, okay? The key, though, when I talk to people is when they made a mistake, okay, that's one thing, right? The key is to not keep making the same mistake. And to get that information out and get it off their chest. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, from this case, and I can tell you I've spent literally a week on this case, going over information after information, accessing all the sources, speaking to every other expert on the case. And at this point, Jennifer, I know that you've not been truthful with the police. Okay? You've not told us everything that you know, purposely. You've spent a considerable amount of time in the last 7 years telling half-truths. And I can understand why, okay? You've had a tough life. What's happened to you, to me, equates to abuse. And all the stresses that you've had and forced to lie, I can understand why you did it, okay? But you're in another situation here where you're under another tremendous amount of stress. And it doesn't feel good inside, does it? It breaks down the person that you are. Because at the end of the day, you're a good person. I know that. You've got a good heart. In this case, though, you've made mistakes. Okay? And you're involved in this. I know that. Okay? There's no question about it. The only question right now is, are you going to keep making mistakes? Are you going to go on the route that you've gone on over the years and try to pretend that things happen that never happened? Okay? Are you going to not face... We've done our homework, okay? We have to resolve that now, here today. I need to know from you what really happened. And I know why this has happened. You have spent your whole life trying to live up to expectations that you can't meet, okay? And that stress the hell out of you. You're a 24-year-old woman being treated like a 15-year-old, okay? You've never done anything that terrible in your life, but you're being treated like you have. You're not being treated like the adult that you are. Yes, you made some mistakes, big deal. You're not the first person that has gone out and not told their parents that they're dating a guy, because in your culture they don't accept it. I understand that. I've talked to people in here that have kept that secret for their whole life from their parents. Okay, so that's not abnormal, but that puts a lot of stress on you, right? That's not easy for you, is it? No. Now, what we need to get down to here today, Jen, is what really happened. You need to tell me what went on. Because you know who was in that house that night. You do, Jen. There's no question about that, okay?
While remaining empathetic and understanding, the detective still needs to keep Jennifer's confidence low. He watches for denials and stops them immediately. Letting the suspect deny her guilt will only increase confidence and morale. This needs to be stripped away as much as possible, as early as possible.
There's no question about it, okay?
The focus is kept from the magnitude of the crime and concentrated on the justifications of why someone would commit it.
Yes, their intentions might have been good, but they're not realistic. They're not, Dan, were they? Ken? Their expectations weren't realistic, were they? You couldn't live up to them, could you? You tried to. Right? Am I right? And finally you had to bite back, right? You had no other choice. You felt like you had no other option. This is Canada. We're in the 21st century here. You cannot take everything out of a person. You can have expectations for your kids, but you can't expect them to do everything the way you want. It doesn't feel good to have secrets, does it? No. You have to let me know what happened here, okay? Okay, but you were involved, right? That's the part we need. Okay? We need to hear that from you because we know you were.
The detective appears to be getting nowhere, so he now lowers the gauge of admission. A confession to a lesser offense is far easier to attain, but once it is attained, can be used to build on the more damnatory elements of the case. You'll also notice that he uses broad terms that infer guilt, yet don't directly accuse Jennifer of murder.
You knew before that night that this was going to happen, I'm going to make that easy on you. That's a true statement, right?
Fucking grandpa.
You knew before that night that they were coming.
Grandpa,
right? Ken? It's not worth it anymore. It's hurting you.
She seems to be on the cusp of giving some form of admission, yet wants reassurance as to what it means for her own sake. She asks this question 9 times throughout this interrogation. It's one of the few things investigators can't actually lie about, as it's been used countless times in the past to get a case thrown out under misdirection. They can avoid the question, yet they can't afford any false promises with respect to sentencing.
I need to know the details. I can't even say it. But I can tell you one thing, is that we already know, so you can't change that. I know you did. But it got too far ahead of you, right? You didn't think this far ahead, did you? But once they started, once they came in, you couldn't stop it, could you? Could you? Jen? I know. Why didn't they stop for you?
I don't know who they were.
But you were part of the planning, right? You have to tell me that part, and then we're going to work through it together. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want this, you wanted to stop it. You have to prove that to me now. Because at the end of the day, we have to stop this from happening to someone else. Right? Jen, we're going to have to deal with it one step at a time, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I need to know what you did. And then you and I are going to work through this together. Because the most important part of this whole thing is that we do the right thing for your mom. Right? I am her voice right now. I'm working for your mom. That's my job. And I have to get to the bottom of this for your mom.
Appealing to compassion isn't necessarily uncommon when the crime is first-degree murder, yet it can send a mixed message when a justification for the crime was a focus point early on. The detective takes his chance with it, which at first appears to work. Jennifer initially responds in a poignant manner, but you'll soon come to notice that her empathy, alongside her concern, is solely focused on herself.
But we gotta start... Well, I don't know at this point. Okay, because I don't know what you're going to tell me other than that you were involved, but I need to hear it. What this all was a last-ditch effort to live your own life, to be your own person, to make your own decisions. Look at all your friends. Look at all the people around you. Does anyone else have a curfew for 9 o'clock at 24 years of age? You had no choice here, and I know that. And anybody else in your situation would have done the exact same thing. The only thing different is I would say that they'd done it a lot earlier. They would have looked for a way of when did you first start planning.
Your job depends on reliable tools. That's why Harbor Freight is committed to offering quality tools to
When was the final straw? What was the final straw? So that's what this is all about. You want to be a good person here?
Jennifer knows exactly what questions to answer and what ones to ignore. Anytime a question is non-incriminating, she gives a response. Yet when they are incriminating, she remains silent. She is no doubt feeling the pressure, but still very aware of the situation and the potential ramifications of her words.
Okay. And you know when a good person makes a mistake, they have to face that mistake, right? Right? What do you think should happen? I don't know. You're going to prove to people that you know what the right thing to do is. That's what's going to happen. That's what your mom wants right now. She's watching us here. She's wondering, is Jen going to make the right decision here? Is Jen, after all of this, going to come out on top doing the right thing? I'm here for you, Jen. I'm here for your mom. But you have to tell, it's one of those situations, you know what, we know that what you did, okay? But you have to be able to explain to me what happened, okay? I can't tell you what's exactly going to happen to you. You just have to be brave here. You have to be brave.
Three hours, 20 minutes, and 26 seconds. The exact amount of time it took for Jennifer to display genuine emotion. The investigator would later testify this was the first moment the suspect was being authentic. He allows her to fixate on whatever thought brought this on, and remains completely silent for just under 2 minutes.
Sorry, Richard. We're supposed to take you? What? So we're supposed to take the whole family out?
No, just me.
What went wrong?
The detective now has one foot in the door. It's not an outright confession, but Jennifer has now admitted to planning the home invasion all along. And although she asserts that she was the intended target while her parents were meant to be spared, the information she has now given is enough to place her under arrest. Jennifer is no longer going home after this interview. The detective now presses for more information on the amended storyline. It's essentially step one of day one all over again, but from a more powerful position. He knows she is still lying, and now locks her into as many lies.
Why did it change? Okay, what do you know? How come it was supposed to be you? Okay, you made mistakes, but nothing that couldn't be corrected. So who did you get to do this one?
I don't know who his number.
Okay, and what's his number?
I don't memorize it.
She skirts around the questions surrounding her accomplices and gives multiple fake names. She stated that she got the number of the supposed hitman from an acquaintance named Rick, and that she took everything from there over the phone. It becomes apparent she doesn't want to give up, or even mention her boyfriend, so for the time being the detective allows her to recount her amended narrative in the manner she pleases.
So what did you ask him to do then?
Come take me out on the meet.
Okay. Why did they do it when you were, when your parents were there then?
Never know. Maybe next time.
Okay. So that meeting you had with Rick, you told him what you wanted?
No, I just said that I wanted, if he knew anybody who could take care of something that I needed.
And he said what?
Here's the number.
Did he have the number with him that day?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say he would do?
He just like me to serve it. Maybe.
So he does come into the house, and you're the obvious only young girl there, right? Okay. When he came to your room,
Yes.
what discussions did you have with the guy that came to your room? The real discussions you had, not what he told us.
Where was the money? And I told him where the money was.
Okay. But he obviously said, I'm here to do what you asked.
He never said anything.
What did he say?
He's like hands behind your back.
Did he discuss ways with you how he would do it?
No.
Did you request any way for him to do it?
He made sure no one else was around.
Okay. Why didn't they do it the way you wanted?
I don't know. I asked them to take me and my mom when they took them away.
It doesn't seem to make sense.
I know, it doesn't make sense to me. Because I was supposed to be.
Okay. Can you sit up for a minute, Jim? Okay, look at me.
The detective wants an outright confession, and the second direct confrontation is about to commence. Only this time it will be a lot more aggressive, as he doesn't have to worry as much about the suspect locking up or requesting counsel. She is under arrest and going to jail after this interrogation, no matter what.
Look at me. Okay, what I do believe is that you went to somebody. And I do believe that night you paid them the $2,000. But what's not true is it was never for you. Okay, Jen, no. Okay, you went to this person and you asked them to do a job. And the job was for your parents. You asked them to do this job on your parents, Jen. Okay, let's be truthful. It's for your mom and dad. Came, you paid, okay? You made the mistake, okay? Everybody understands, but you heard this guy say that you hid it there and that they didn't know.
You may not know it yet, but buried deep inside the new definition of hemp from the government shutdown is a new loophole. Congress finally rewrote the federal definition of hemp, the definition that controls the entire billion-dollar cannabinoid industry. And they say they closed the loopholes. They say they fixed the intoxicating hemp. They say they restored order. But when you actually read what they passed, something presents itself. We're going to go over it, and we're going to show you why this loophole is good for growers, but bad for gas stations. So there is a chance that it sticks around for at least another 7 years like the last one. And we're going to unpack this together, piece by piece, because the truth is pretty wild. It's hidden in plain sight, and the consequences are going to shape cannabis for the next decade. But before we dive in, hit like and subscribe. Not just because it helps the channel, although it absolutely does, but because every time you do, a prohibitionist from Sam cries a little bit. All right, now let's slow this down because Congress passed something complicated, technical, and written in the most classic, I didn't read the bill, but I voted for it anyway to get the government open type of way. Once you understand what they changed, you can see what they forgot, and what they forgot is the whole story. Let's start with what Congress thought it was doing. The public message was simple. We are shutting down intoxicating hemp products. No more Delta-8 gummies at gas stations, no more THCA flower being sold as hemp, no more vape bars calling themselves wellness centers. They wanted to restore order, or at least restore the illusion that they were restoring order. So they rewrote the definition of hemp to include total tetrahydrocannabinols, which is a new term they made up to mean THC plus THCA plus every other cannabinoid with similar effects. They set container limits. They banned anything synthetic or semi-synthetic. They closed the loophole for seeds from hot plants. They carved up hemp, industrial hemp, intermediate hemp products, and final hemp-derived cannabinoid products. The message was pretty clear. Party's over, new sheriff in town. But here's where the mystery starts. Because as you read deeper into the new definition, you notice something strange. Congress spent pages regulating what people consume, gummies, beverages, vapes, tinctures, extracts, oils, but barely touched what people grow after it is a seed. And the more you look, the more obvious it becomes. This bill wasn't written by growers. It wasn't written by anyone who's ever held a cannabis plant in their hands. It was written by people who think cannabis comes from the same factory that makes gummy bears. And that's when you stumble across a line that should stop you cold. Let's go to HR 5371 in the definition. It says, in general, the term hemp means the plant Cannabis sativa L and any part of that plant, including the seeds thereof and all derivatives, extracts, cannabinoids, isomers, acids, salts, and salts of isomers, whether growing or not, with a total tetrahydrocannabinols concentration, including THCA, of not more than 0.3 on a dry weight basis. Any part of the plant. That phrase is doing a lot of work because Congress thinks that any part of the plant means fiber, seeds, stalks. If we go down to the inclusions portions of the definition for industrial hemp, we can see that it says hemp grown for the use of the stalk, the plant, the fiber, or other non-cannabinoid derivative mixture or preparation or manufacture of such stalk. But in botany and in law, any part of the plant means every living piece of it. including the one thing Congress never mentioned once, the one thing that determines everything about the future of cannabis production, the one thing that has no intoxicating effect at the point of sale, but becomes intoxicating perhaps, depending on how it's grown in the future. And that is the thing. The next loophole being clones. Vegetative cuttings, mother stock, tissue cultures, baby cannabis plants that haven't developed yet, plants that test well below 0.3% total THC because they're too young to have made any, plants that every commercial grower in the country relies on. Congress never mentioned clones once, and we can imply that was intentional. They never restricted clones. They never set THC limits for future potency other than seeds. They only set limits for what the plant is now at the moment it's tested. Is now at the moment it's tested. However, they do mention microgreens. Under the industrial hemp provision, they say those must have been grown from compliant seed, the definition states. Producing microgreens or other edible hemp leaf products intended for human consumption that are derived from an immature hemp plant that is grown for seeds that do not exceed the threshold for total tetrahydrocannabinol concentrations. So your microgreens have to be grown from THC compliant seeds. But the definition of hemp does not say that it has to be from a THC compliant seed. Instead, seeds are banned, as under the exclusions from hemp, it says any viable seeds from a cannabis sativa L plant that exceeds a total THC concentration, including THCA, of 0.3% in the plant on a dry weight basis. So what does that mean after you pop a seed? Well, if you intend to eat as microgreens, you have to grow it from a THC compliant seed, but what if you intend to clone it? It seems that once the seed is popped and you do not market it for food, you have hemp. Because hemp is not categorized as the type of cultivar you have. Only cannabis without total THC. Clones, therefore, should be hemp. It tests clean, it meets the definition, it's harmless. It is, in every legal sense, hemp. But that same clone, after 8 weeks, under 12-hour light-dark cycles, after nutrients and careful cultivation and flowering, that plant becomes the exact high THCA cannabis Congress insists it never intended to legalize. Of course, this is the center of the mystery. Congress didn't close the loophole. They changed the loophole. They moved it upstream into the biology of the plant itself. They wiped out the cannabinoid product loophole and replaced it with the federally legal plant genetics highway. Loophole version 1.0 was sell intoxicating products that technically meet the definition of hemp. Loophole version 2.0, the one Congress just created, is sell the plant that will eventually make the intoxicating product. Think about how wild that is. Congress says, we are banning intoxicating hemp products. We are cleaning up the hemp market. We are protecting consumers. Then the next breath was, but yes, of course, you can grow tiny hemp leaves to put on your avocado toast if it's from compliant seeds, because high THC seeds are banned and make marijuana. But then when you read the definition, the genetic material that becomes the entire commercial cannabis market, not a word. No restriction on clones, no limits. Not even a hint that they remembered clones exist, or tissue cultures, or mothers. This wasn't just an oversight. This is what happens when the law is written by people who think cannabis is made in a factory. They understand gummies and pre-rolls. They understand beverages. They understand vapes. They can picture packaging and child-proof lids and THC symbols, the flavor names, the lawsuits, the headlines. They cannot picture, it seems, a tray of clones, or a tissue culture lab, or a mother plant in a vegetative room, or anything involving horticulture beyond a cartoon marijuana leaf. And that brings us to the heart of this mystery, the moment where all the clues line up. Clone has no intoxicating effect at the time of sale. A clone tests under 0.3% total THC. A clone is not an intermediate hemp product. A clone is not a final hemp-derived cannabinoid product. A clone is not eaten, smoked, vaped, or ingested. A clone is simply a baby cannabis plant. And all cannabis that's THC compliant is hemp. Under the new federal definition, that plant is hemp if it tests cleans on that day. Tomorrow, when it's flowering, when its THC levels surge in the 6th through 8th weeks of flower, that's no longer a federal hemp issue, that's state marijuana law. But wait, Congress shut down the hemp product loophole. Maybe we should see if clones or tissue cultures or mothers are covered by one of the other exclusions besides seeds. What about hemp-derived cannabinoid products? Congress defined a hemp-derived cannabinoid product as any intermediate or final product derived from hemp intended for human or animal use through inhalation, ingestion, or topical application. Well, that's gummies, vapes, oils, beverages, anything you use. A clone does none of that. A clone is not consumed or inhaled or absorbed or applied to anything. A clone is just a living plant. It's not a cannabinoid product in intermediate or in final use, and it's not intended for human or animal use. Its flowers will eventually be intended for human or animal use. So let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to the other subcategory that Congress created, an intermediate hemp-derived cannabinoid product, basically a pre-finished ingredient designed for a consumable end product. That definition requires two elements. It must be a product, not a plant, and it must be something that will be mixed, dissolved, formulated, or prepared into another consumable. So the clone fails both tests. A clone is not a powder, liquid, oil, tablet, or extract. It is not prepared with anything. It is not marketed or sold as a final product for ingestion. And none of its ingredients are cannabinoids. It's not a gummy recipe. It is not an intermediate biomass. It's not extractable crude. It is a baby plant. So we're back to where we were in the loophole. And it means that something enormous is going to happen or continue to happen in the cannabis industry. It's something that almost no one is talking about except for Jason Adelstone on the Canna Law blog. Interstate movement of genetics, the holy grail of cannabis commerce, is effectively still legalized for any cultivar whose clone tests clean at shipment. They have just flipped it from seeds to clones or tissue cultures. The clone is no measurable THC at the moment it's shipped. It's hemp. And you can ship hemp. That's not stretching the definition. That's the literal definition that Congress passed twice. Now, let's talk about why this loophole will probably last for another 5 to 7 years. First, no voter cares about clones. Nobody is protesting the plant cuttings. There's no fear-mongering headlines about children exposed to dangerous, well-rooted rock wool cubes. Second, enforcement will require Congress to invent a regulatory framework for future potency. And they aren't going to do that. You can't get Congress to pass a budget without shutting down. Third, the definition is now baked into the Farm Bill cycle. Hemp doesn't get rewritten every year. It may get rewritten every half decade, if at all. Congress doesn't need to change the definition of hemp, or corn for that matter, every actually solves a political problem. Congress gets to say they cracked down on intoxicating hemp products. They did. But they also quietly enabled the cannabis industry to continue to have what it had under the seed loophole previously, federally legal movement of commercial genetics. So here's the truth. Congress will never say out loud they didn't legalize baby cannabis. They made it illegal to get high from gas station gummies, while making it perfectly legal to order a box of federally compliant hemp clones and grow your own. That's the new loophole. This is the mystery solved. This is what's coming.
Yep. And that's the big secret. Uncle Sam wants you to grow your own. That's it. That's the big deal. That's it. Or just get a fucking medical card. Like a real Chad. Or there's the real secret, third option, legalize it.
Over the next decade. And this channel is going to keep breaking down every one of these cracks in prohibition until the whole structure falls apart. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do. Join over 80,000 advocates pushing toward 100,000, because when we hit that milestone, Washington will know the cannabis community is not just watching, we are keeping score. And unlike Congress, we actually read the bills. So we know what happens after you pop the seed. Tune into this next video.
I like that video because a lot of people didn't pay attention to why, and to be fair, I gotta say, I'm all for this bill, kind of. I don't want people going into gas stations and buying sketchy weed products. Now, THCA was the only exception. THCA was just weed, but they made that illegal. They were going to always make that illegal. However, Delta 8, Delta 9, whatever, all these synthetic cannabinoids were unregulated, unchecked, untested products that were sold in gas stations. And a lot of them were just fucking sketchy. A lot of these gas stations also sell psychedelic products that are completely unregulated and completely unchecked and have things like fucking arsenic in them. Yeah. Prohibition needs to end, and it needs to end now. It's good for our economy. It's good for civil rights. No person should be going to jail for consuming a plant. Yada, yada, yada. I said my bit. Let's get back to the playlist.
Potential jurors for the O.J. Simpson case were asked to fill out a 75-page jury questionnaire this week. In the entire state of California, only one person got a perfect score. Chow Ming Wu, who after the trial plans to attend Caltech. By the way, you can now purchase a bronze statue of the Juice for only $3,395. And for an even $5,000, you can buy one that Al Cowlings has kissed the ass of. O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dwarf on Stocking. The crowd is torn. According to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses, or trait. And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality in today's secular world, and the changing role of the Catholic Church as it approaches the 21st century. The book is entitled, God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty. In other book news, Prince Charles released an autobiography in which he states that he never loved Princess Di and that his father pressured him to marry her. The book is entitled, Of Course O.J. Did It. I mean, come on. In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. You don't get worse luck than that. And O.J. announced this week that he's coming out with a new book called I Want to Tell You. And if it's successful, O.J. will work on yet another book entitled From Football to Prison, My 25 Years of Showering with Other Men. And finally, in honor of the 50th anniversary of their first publication, Random House will be releasing special commemorative issues of many Dr. Seuss classics. The first to hit the bookshelves will be Green Eggs and Ham and O.J. is Guilty. Judge Ito was interviewed this week by a local TV station in Los Angeles. Asked by the interviewer if it was appropriate for a supposedly impartial judge to be on TV with his case still pending, Ito said, maybe not, but how appropriate is it to kill your ex-wife? It was revealed today that O.J. Simpson told police that Nicole Brown Simpson used to beat him up. He also claimed that she and Ron Goldman killed him. O.J. Simpson's lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, we want to get O.J. acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people. let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. Well, O.J. Simpson's lawyers stopped feuding this week, finally. The Dream Team, F. Lee Bailey and Robert Shapiro, were able to put aside their differences and express their admiration for each other after O.J. threatened to cut their heads off. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, sleepy truckers are responsible for 1,000 deaths a year. In second place, O.J. Simpson at 2 deaths a year. It was revealed this week that defense lawyer Johnny Cochran once abused his first wife. In his defense, Cochran said, "Hey, at least I didn't kill her like some people I know." Tomorrow, Judge Lancito will take O.J. and the jury on a tour of the now famous crime scene. For the jury, it will be their first look at the actual location. Of course, for O.J., it will be just a case of been there, done that. Judge Lancito was happy with the jurors' field trip to the crime scene last week. It went off without a hitch, said Ito. Not one murder. O.J.'s pal Al Cowlings now has a 1-900 number. For $2.99 a minute, Cowlings will tell callers that O.J. is innocent. And for $3.99 a minute, he'll try to do it without laughing. And this week, Simpson defense lawyers questioned witnesses about a half-melted container of ice cream found at the murder site. The Simpson defense has seized upon the ice cream for 2 reasons. 1, it may help fix the time of the murders, and 2, it was the only thing in the murder scene without any of... F. Lee Bailey said this week that if the defense only knew what Ron Goldman's last words were, they might be able to find the real killer. You know, if you ask me, Goldman's last words were probably, "Hey, you're O.J. Simpson." Oh no, O.J. has struck again. How about that? And in court this week, Cato Kalin testified that O.J. Simpson did not appear angry before or after the period of his wife's murder. But Kalin admitted he could have been a touch edgy while he was actually murdering her. Car company announced this week that it will buy 520,000 vehicles, increasing its worldwide fleet 24%. In addition, they will try to find a new spokesman who won't kill his ex-wife. This week at the O.J. Simpson trial, the infamous bloody glove was finally introduced into evidence, and O.J. didn't help his case any by blurting out, "There it is, I've been looking all over for that thing." Shocker in the O.J. Simpson trial. This afternoon, Judge Lancito dismissed yet another juror, a 45-year-old African-American male, for failing to tell the court that he had once worked for Hertz Rent-A-Car and that he had once held Nicole Brown Simpson's glasses while O.J. killed her. Dismissed Simpson juror Jeanette Harris revealed in interviews this week that the jury is torn by dissension and is already divided into 2 camps. Those who think he is guilty and those who are really, really stupid. A bad week for the prosecution of the O.J. Simpson trial. Under intense cross-examination by defense lawyer Barry Scheck, LAPD crime expert Dennis Fung admitted that he may have contaminated the crime scene when he accidentally dropped a big bucket full of O.J.'s DNA. Our top story tonight this week in the O.J. Simpson trial. After grisly photos of the murdered Nicole Brown Simpson were shown in court, O.J. turned his head away and wept. It was at that moment that he realized he would never be able to kill her again. Well, in a questionable move by the defense team this week, O.J. Simpson demonstrated how to stab two people at the same time. Remember 12 Angry Men, the classic courtroom drama? Well, the first film about the O.J. Simpson case is in the works. It's entitled 9 Angry Black People, 2 Scared Asians, and a White Guy Who Hasn't Spoken Since Rosa Lopez. Testimony during the final week provided some spellbinding moments. In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say O.J. wore the night he committed the murders. Although O.J. may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, "Hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat." Well, the trial of the century is over. Late yesterday, the fate of O.J. Simpson, the most famous murder suspect in United States history, was placed in the hands of the jurors. They must now decide whether to free him or get all their heads cut off.
And then Norm Macdonald got fired. And then he got fired. He got fired. Anyway. I think that's where I'm going to end it today.